And now, it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your, not only your Friday, but your holiday as well. Christian, you knew I needed a little Mariah today.
Yeah, well, I was saving this one for this moment, actually, yeah.
This is my Christmas song. It might be the only one I like.
Really? Okay.
Well, I love Mariah. So I'll soak it in, even though this is the 5,000th time I've already heard it. I enjoy it each and every time. So thank you, Christian. Appreciate that. And it is one of, honestly, it's one of the best shows of the year. We're here at the Holiday Mediathon for the road home, and our station has been involved in this for a very long time. I've been doing this every year for a very long time, and it feels good each and every year to raise money for such a great cause. We're here at the family shelter, and it really hits home. We were talking with another family a couple of days ago about giving back and teaching that lesson to kids and helping out and helping people that just need a little bit of a boost. And that's exactly what the Road Home does, and it's their mission. Specifically, the mission of the entire organization, but specifically here at the Family Center, where if you're here, you can see the buses come in and pick up kids for school, and come drop them off in the afternoon. These are real families that have suffered setbacks and are just looking for a little help on the road home, and that's where they get their name. The organization has helped so many families and continues to do so. And shout out to our great listeners, our longtime listeners, our P1s as we used to call them. They step up each and every holiday season and are just incredibly generous. And it's really, not to oversell it, but it is, inspirational each and every year. So I'm excited to be a part of it once again this year, and excited to be down here. We're going to talk to the director of the Road Home, Michelle Flynn, coming up here in a few minutes. Excited to talk to her. She's great. She's been doing this for a long time, and she's just got such a great, helpful spirit about her. We're excited. To talk to her coming up here in a few minutes. But let's get out the important details. All right, how to help, how to donate. Now, Christian, as you know, we radio people are very competitive, very much so. We're sitting here next to FM 100, of course, our great sister station, and the Arrow right next to them. But we're here with Bonneville Media as well. Channel 2 was here yesterday. I know KSL Channel 5 is doing stuff. Our most heated rivalry, Christian, do you know what station that there's bad blood with, figuratively speaking, of course, when it comes to the Radiothon? You know who our rival is?
Who is it?
Those dastardly hipsters at X96.
Well, we're sports guys, so we're naturally competitive, right?
You know what? And they naturally don't like us. We were in the same building as X for a very, very long time. And they always thought we were, to steal my own insult, mouth breathers who were way too loud. Does that make any sense? They'd always complain, like, why are the sports guys so loud? And it's like, this is what we do.
They're kind of, they're not wrong, but
no,
that's
they're really
us. That's
not
who
wrong.
we are.
Yeah, we're very loud. But we're very competitive. So what we need you to do is donate. Tell them what station you're listening to. Of course, 801-819-7300. That is the number to call if you want to donate the old-fashioned way, 801-819-7300. Tell them you're listening to the KSL Sports Zone. You can also go online, theroadhome.org/donate. Very easy, theroadhome.org/donate. Or come in person to the Connie Crosby Family Resource Center, 529 9th Avenue, which is basically 7300 South, right here in Midvale, Utah. It's right off the freeway. It's extremely easy to get to, and you can donate in hard donations. I don't know, whatever we're calling it these days. Like diapers, socks are a big one. But if you want to come in, gather the neighborhood, gather the stuff, and bring it down to the road home, they will gladly take it. So lots of ways to help. And, of course, if you donate, make sure you tell them you're listening to the KSL Sports Zone so we can, win. And, again, we don't want X96 to win. I don't know if we've got to figure out a way to sabotage. We've got a whole crew of people down here right now, so we could work behind the scenes to pull the plug or something. Christian, is that are we up for? I guess dirty pool would be a little uncouth considering we're here for a great cause. Maybe we shouldn't do something like that. I don't know.
Well, so that's what the techs are for, right? I mean, they get everything all set up, and then once you start going, I mean, that's kind of their job is to go around and do what they can to help out.
Well, let's just say this: they're a very dedicated bunch. You know what I mean? They know what the job is, and they get it done on many different levels.
Absolutely.
No, it's so cool. The origin story of this mediathon, it used to be a radiothon, and it was all the Simmons Media stations from I guess it would have been mid-'90s. It was a little bit before I got on board, Christian, but Simmons Media is no more. Radio clusters kind of change over the years, and I don't know if this is just fake news or what, but as these transactions took place and stations changed ownership, part of the deal was, and I doubt this was a part of the contract, but part of the kind of, hey, was you still participate in the mediathon, and every company that I've worked for has never faltered in that for a second. It's that great a cause. We're so excited to be on board with it once again this year, and thanks in advance to our listeners, and I should say to the ones that donated this morning during DJ and PK. We really greatly appreciate it. 801-819-7600, 801-819-7600. But we're going to get to the Jazz. We're going to get to all sorts of sports coming up here in a moment. But if we can, we want to talk to the boss, the head honcho around here. Michelle Flynn is going to jump on with us in just a second and talk about all the great things it is that they do and how many great people that, they help with your donations. So 801-819-7300, 801-819-7300, or theroadhome.org. To donate. But another reason people are feeling good out there, Christian, is the Jazz did win, and we will talk about that. It was indeed a W. I know that you are not used to when that happens.
Well, and that's the thing is, do you think that people are actually going to be celebrating that?
No, probably not in the sick world that we now live in, where your people are cheering for losses because they're actually good.
How about Jordan Clarkson, though? I tweeted this out last night. He has to be the NBA's all-time leader in squaring up without ever actually throwing a punch.
Oh, that's what he does. I do like it when Jordan throws up his dukes because he's got really like an old school style to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like he could be boxing in the 30s.
Yes.
I, as a throwback person myself, I truly appreciate his style. But there was lots of stuff. Did you see Keyonte get into it with a fan?
Yes.
And that's mild-mannered Keyonte. Keyonte. That would have been like, Christian, that would have been you getting into it with something like you're pretty as level-headed as they come. It's like, wow, that guy must have really, or gal, I suppose, must have really said something.
So was that before or after his huge poster dunk?
I want to say after. No, it was after, because I doubt he would have done that huge dunk after hurting his ankle, but God, it all runs together. I'd have to go back and look, but I think he did the dunk first. But anywho. All right, so we'll get to all that coming up right around the corner in the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. But as I mentioned, we are here at the Road Home, and we're excited to be here, and we're excited to talk to our next guest. We're going to catch up with Michelle a little bit later because a very important person has just sat down. And I say that because I've been reading the liners all week long about the Road Home promoting this great event, and of course, driven by Performance Auto. And joining us right now is Patricia Byrne from Performance Auto. And first of all, thank you for being on board with this. And thank you for being here. It's so great.
Oh, thank you. We love doing this every year. This is one of our favorite events by far.
I tell you, I love reading that liner because I just love saying the name. I mean, it just goes to
it flows, doesn't it?
Oh, it's just fantastic. But no, it's so cool because this is a very direct way to help members of our community who are in need. And I love the name of the Road Home because it so aptly describes their mission, which is just incredible.
They do an amazing job, and with the weather is cooperating this year, which is awesome. And I do hope people come down, donate. Let's go through your closets. Let's go to the store, buy some blankets. Let's help these people get back on the road, if you will.
Isn't that the truth about the weather? There has been some Road Home Mediathons where we've kind of you had to get the jet ski, or not the I guess the snowmobile, and get in here. So this is the perfect year, the perfect time to donate.
It really is. It's a fantastic event. It's very easy. You just drive in, drop it off. There's no lines right now, so come on down.
And I'm sure you guys had your whole crew on board this year as usual.
We do, yes. And I have got a bunch of blankets I can't wait to unload in my car. My car is packed. I can't see, so I'm glad to get rid of them.
Full of blankets.
Full of blankets for them.
That's so perfect. And they need that. They need diapers. I have young kids, and those types of goods are so welcomed.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. For sure. Bring them down.
Thank you for your support. Thank you for being involved. Thank you for being on our show. We really appreciate it.
We appreciate you guys for what you guys do as well. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, we'll have more coming up next. Stay tuned. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, bro. You hear us every day with our crazy opinions.
Hey, what you doing?
Well, now it's time to hear from you.
Hey, great show.
Download the KSL Sports app and fire off your thoughts with the call-in tab on the bottom of your screen.
Your show is fantastic. It's the one that captivates me the most.
You can tell PK to stop singing.
Chippy.
Let Jake and Ben know what you really think of the Jazz. Woo! Tell Hans and Scotty about your favorite barbecue spot or what color of tie JJ should be wearing on TV. The best entries will be played on the air. Download the KSL Sports app now and hit the call-in button to let your voice be heard.
I think you guys do an incredible job.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you to nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week. Sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. We are live from the Road Home. It's the Mediathon. We're asking for your help today. 801-819-7300, 801-819-7300, or theroadhome.org/donate. Just last night, there were over 1,100 people that were requiring shelter, families in the shelter. They had 80 total families and 177 children. So these are families in need around the holiday season. 801-819-7300. Let's get to the top 3 stories of the day, KSLSports.com. Brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers, 2 locations to serve you, one on Winchester Street across from Fashion Place Mall, the other at Traverse Mountain in Lehigh. All right, Christian, where are we starting today?
Number 1, well, Jake, we talked about it a little bit last segment, but let's stick with it here. The Jazz beat the Pistons last night.
Yeah, they did beat the Pistons in a very bizarre game. And, yeah, the chippiness was the headline, and I think, you selected a cut for the Jazz update yesterday, Christian, which ended up being a I thought one that was spot on where Will Hardy said, after that Clipper game, I don't think we're going to have to motivate these guys too hard. After you get embarrassed, you want to get out there and prove that, we're a real team. And then you play against a Detroit team that ups the physical play and the style, and you want to see a team respond. And that's really what the Jazz did, which was really impressive. They came out of the gates. They outscored Detroit 48-19 in the first quarter, and then did not outscore the Pistons in a quarter for the rest of the game. They were outscored in the second quarter 35-19, then 32-30, then 33-29 in the fourth quarter. But, you build a lead like that. We saw it happen when the Jazz played the Clippers. You get trounced in the first quarter like that, it's near impossible to battle your way back in the ballgame, and the Pistons were unable to do so. But Keyonte George, as we played the cut in the Jazz update we just did, he is the story of the team right now. And I thought at the beginning part of the season, I thought Walker Kessler was the story of the team, and he continues to be good. He's one of those things where you're like, okay, he made some improvement, and then he's kind of maintained that. And then that ceases to be a story because you really just expect it. I mean, he was a monster on the boards last night. 12 boards, 4 blocks, just playing tough. I mean, you just expect it now. I think Keyonte George now is really the story of the team in a sense that he's figured something out. If you throw out that Clipper game and take his last 4 games, he's been really, really good. And it's not just shooting. It's not just look at the box score and go, okay, he was 7 of 13 from 3. That's really easy to do, and that in this case is certainly true. It's the way that he's playing. And I thought the chippiness was evident, was an example, but not. It was an example or a byproduct of how hard he's playing. That he was going to be chippy and enjoy it. You heard that cut. He's like, I wish every game were like this. He's found something. I've got to really bust my backside if I'm going to make it in the NBA. And that's true of everybody, Even look at, the legendary stories about Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan and all the work they put into being the best or being the best that they possibly could be. They never skated on talent. Say what you will about LeBron and him being obnoxious sometimes. He invests $10 million or something like that a year in his body, and it's a lot of work, and you can't just skate and stuff. And not that Keyonte was necessarily skating before, but you just have to figure out what it takes to succeed at whatever level of whatever you're doing is, and he's figuring out, I think, what he needs to do to be a good NBA player, a starter in the NBA and be effective. He's figuring out how he has to play, and I think that's really important for him. I think I've talked about this a lot, but people often underestimate the adjustments it takes to move up a level so drastically. It's why I listen to guys like Hans so carefully on stuff like this, because he actually did it. The transition from high school to college, and what a different level that is, and then the transition from college to pro, and what an even bigger difference that is in what you have to do to succeed. And it's crazy, and I'm sure it's really humbling for people who are going through it. But you come to the NBA, you've got to learn a new role, you've got to learn how to play harder, what you have to be good at to succeed, and it's all really different from these guys that were always. Keyonte George was the best player on his AAU team. He was the best player at Baylor. He was a high draft pick. There's a lot of stuff. It's going to get hard at some point, and how do you respond to it, and what do you do to figure it out? I'll give you another very minor example from last night's game of somebody else who's doing it, and you may not notice, but Bryce Sensabaugh, who only played 12 minutes last night, and he had 5 points, 2 of 3 shooting, 1 of 2 from 3, a couple of assists, and you're going, okay, But his challenge is he was a dribble it, score guy in college. He's never going to be that in the NBA. He's just not. His talent level is not high enough. Few people's talent level is high enough to play like he did in college in the NBA. So he's got to figure out a different role. He's got the size, the athleticism. He's extremely skilled. And last night, he dug out 5 boards in 12 minutes. for a guy that really needed to round out his game and figure out what else he can do, if he can be a big physical guard that can dig out 5 boards, there's real value there. And then you get a chance to round out the rest of your game to become, whatever it is you're going to be. But it takes some humbling. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes being coachable, a lot of things that not everybody has. So when you see signs of it, I think it's worthy of pointing it out. Especially when you're going through a year like this one for the Jazz where they really are developing. And Keyonte to not only throw down that dunk and have the athleticism to do it, but to dunk right in the face of Jalen Duren, who is a giant of a man. I mean, that was a really physical play from a guard. I mean, that's really impressive. That takes a lot of guts, and that takes a lot of athleticism, and it takes a lot of toughness. Like, all that stuff is that's a really, really good sign for Keyonte George. Like when Christian was just cutting his teeth as a part-time producer, and Lloyd said, "Hey, Christian, why don't you produce the NBA draft?" And Christian said, "Oh, you mean one of the hardest shows of the year to produce, and with guys that I'm not all that familiar with? Sure, I'll do it. I'll jump in. I'll make it happen." It says a lot about Christian.
We make it work, man.
That's what I'm saying. You do what you got to do, and you're not afraid to be uncomfortable. It's a thing. It's a thing in the NBA, and it's part of development. And those were, I thought, good signs from the game in which the Jazz won. And yeah, I'm with you, Christian. Anytime I can watch Jordan Clarkson put up his dukes, I'm in. That play was super funny because the one who he put up his dukes against was Ronald Holland, who wasn't even part of the original. It was like a little bump back and forth. Like, no, I'm standing here. No, I'm trying to run down the floor. And then all of a sudden, Ronald Holland flies in out of nowhere. It's like, hey, who wants to fight? I was just like, that was way unnecessary.
Yeah, it was a really weird thing. And going back to Jordan Clarkson's form, I mean, he's very like the cartoony, old-timey 1950s boxer. Like, that's what.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's where he gets it from, I guess.
And by the way, can we say that Holland jumped in defense of Paul Reed? Paul Reed's huge. He's way bigger than Jordan Clarkson. I don't think Paul Reed needed your help, Ronald. I think you just escalated the situation a little bit, but anyway.
100%.
That's neither here nor there. All right, let's move on.
Number 2, Jake, the college football playoff begins today. We're going to have number 10, Indiana, at number 7, Notre Dame.
And it's going to be in the frigid temperatures, no?
It's in Indiana, so it might. I've seen pictures of Notre Dame Stadium, and there's sno everywhere, but I don't know about Indiana. No, I should
look it up. I think it's going to be – no, Notre Dame is in Indiana.
Oh, so yeah, duh.
It would be very similar to weather. But from what I heard on the radio, it's supposed to be in the 20s. Hold on, let's check it out.
There was a social media picture by Notre Dame's account, and they had built a snowman up in the stands.
Yeah. Let's see here. So by kick, it's going to be 30 degrees and diving. So low of 23. So I kind of like it, though. I got to admit, I kind of like it that weather is a factor. And I also don't hate it that they're playing a home game as part of the playoff. I think it brings an interesting element into it. And, we talk all the time about how this playoff and the playoff committee and all this stuff is just a TV show, because it really is. Is it an accident that Indiana, the first time they're good in forever, maybe ever, that they're going to go to the playoff and play against an in-state team, not only Notre Dame, but, an in-state team? I don't know how many buddies you have that live in or are from Indiana, Christian, but I have a few. And that Indiana public school, Notre Dame private school kind of dynamic thing is a thing. And it's no accident that these teams are playing. But whatever. It's compelling television, which was the point. And I don't believe in either of these teams. Pretty much like I don't believe in most of college football this year. But I don't know, Christian. Handicap it for me. Is it going to be all Irish, or do you think the Hoosiers have a shot?
I think it's going to be all Notre Dame here. Everybody's been saying it. Indiana never really played anybody, and when they did, they fell apart.
It is true. It is true. These I tell you what, they're just ruining college sports. But absolutely, I heard the promo with Jeremiah complaining about this, and he's totally right. I mean, these giant, watered-down non-geographical conferences are just lame, and none of these teams ever play anybody, and then all of a sudden you slide into the college football playoff. I mean, if we want to look at tomorrow's games, SMU did the exact same thing because the ACC is terrible and it is giant, and so SMU figures out a way to get in, and they're going to Penn State, another team I don't believe in. That's kind of one-dimensional and lacks athleticism. So, I mean, another game I'll sit down and watch, I'm sure, but I don't know. Could you see Penn State making a run to the championship?
Well,
Christian?
I was going to ask you, so you said you don't believe in them. I was going to say, is there any team that you actually do believe in? Because it seems like every one of these teams has a pretty big flaw.
They all do. You're right.
It's almost to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if anybody made a run.
I hear you. But I do, and you know what? I was bagging on them at the beginning of the year, and shame on me. But I like Dan Lanning. I do. I like Oregon is a really good football team. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but they're really good. I don't. Georgia has these weird losses. Ohio State just lost to Michigan. I mean, you're right. I don't believe in like any of these teams. But like, truly, is Penn State going to make a run? Are they going to put together however many wins? I don't think so.
I wouldn't be surprised if they beat SMU and then beat Boise State. But then, I mean, I don't think they'd go any further than that.
It's amazing, these teams that have no business being in the hunt for a national title or in the hunt for a national title. Bring back the BCS. I don't know. What's the most likely upset this weekend, Christian? Let me put it to you that way. So, of course, we talked about Indiana, Notre Dame, SMU, Penn State. Clemson's at Texas, and then Tennessee's at Ohio State. Are we going to see chalk? Are we going to see all favorites?
No, you never see all favorites, right? I mean, I'd probably take Tennessee over Ohio State, or maybe Indiana over Notre Dame. I know earlier we were just saying it might be all Irish, but, I mean, with it being a rivalry like we saw with BYU and Utah this year, like you never know how that can go.
See, now you're just wish casting with that whole Tennessee-Ohio State.
I could be. You think so?
I know I am.
Well, Ohio State sucks.
They do. They just honestly, losing to Michigan and letting the air out of the balloon like that, I wonder how into it they're actually going to be. But, yeah. Absolutely. Stinker against Michigan. I'm with you, Christian. Go Vols. Let's hope Tennessee gets the W. But, I mean, are you loving Texas that much?
No.
If they were playing anyone but Clemson, I'd probably pick them to lose.
Exactly. And I think both Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning have been pretty disappointing this season.
So
I wouldn't be surprised if they lose to Arizona State.
Oh, man, that's wish casting, too. I hope that happens. I hope that happens most of all. Or Boise to make a run just to gum it up, I guess. Even though I could never root for Boise. This is the worst, Christian. I'm going to watch all this football just angrily.
Well, it's weird. It's the first time they're doing it. It's going to take some time to get adjusted to it. And like we were talking about, I mean, there's not one team that's just been dominant all year. I mean, I know Oregon had a great season, but they had some really close games that shouldn't have been close. They almost lost to Idaho.
I do not like a system that encourages me to root for Boise State. There, I said it. I'm not coming along. All right, where are we moving on to next?
Number 3, we've got Utah Hockey Club. They're at the Minnesota Wild tonight, coming off the big overtime win against Vancouver.
Minnesota, as we talked about the other day, great defensive club. The Utah Hockey Club, Clayton Keller scoring a lot of goals. It's going to be, you would think, the immovable force against the what? How does that go?
Unstoppable force and immovable object.
Yeah, right. And we joked, that means that like it'll probably end up 2-1, right in the middle, just because we said that. Last time they played though, a week ago, Minnesota won in a shootout, so it was fairly high scoring, 5-4. I don't know if that lends itself to an advantage for the Utah Hockey Club, but we shall see. All right, we'll have more from the road home coming up right around the corner. You can call, donate. We encourage you to help out this holiday season, 801-819-7300. You can also go online, theroadhome.org/donate. Every little bit helps. So we know times are tight for a lot of folks this holiday season. So if you can only donate a little bit, that is terrific. If you can donate a lot, terrific as well. So thanks for your help. 801-819-7300, theroadhome.org/donate. We'll have more of Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is DJ and PK.
Fran Fraschilla, longtime coach and basketball commentator.
The thing about BYU, the history of the school, the program, they're not going to knowingly break any rules. The most disappointed people in this whole new NIL world are the cheaters, people that used to cheat. Now you can do NIL legally, and BYU obviously has a very healthy NIL program. So what AJ and some of these other young talents are becoming, they're the front porch of BYU, the university itself, and in a sense, the front porch of the church. The Cougs have always had great basketball tradition. They have a terrific young coaching staff. NIL's a factor now. Great fan support. So I think AJ picking BYU, certainly great for the school. It's great for the Big 12. And having seen AJ play this past summer, he's an enormous talent. So I think it's phenomenal.
Catch DJ and PK mornings from 6 to 10 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us?
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This segment is brought to you by Peach Doors and Windows. Amazing home transformations begin with Peach, where 5-star reviews are the norm. Call them today for your free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255. Also, the holidays are here next week, Christmas. Take the stress out of Christmas shopping. We were just talking about that. Get the best blanket and gifts ever at Miki Couture. Save 50% by using promo code ZONE50 at checkout at MikiCouture.com or visit any one of the 6 Miki locations. All right, we are live at the Road Home. Call and donate, 801-819-7300. You can also go to theroadhome.org/donate. Make sure you tell them you're listening to our station. We are very, very competitive. And joining us now, Alicia Gleed, and I want to get the title right, of course, Community Building Officer here at the Road Home. And first of all, it's great to see you. Thank you for having us. You guys are so amazing.
Thank you for being here.
It's great. I think, I talk to my kids a lot about this. Holiday season, service, helping, such a big part of it. And it's why I'm so glad that we come and we do this every year, because I think a lot of people, especially in this community, feel the exact same way. And this is a really great way to help.
Oh, well, we are so grateful because it's really through community, right, that we're ever going to solve homelessness.
Right.
And I know that sounds really vast and grand and all of that, but really when we all come together, we can do amazing things, right? And so it's really through community support that we're able to provide programs and services to help people move out of homelessness and back home. And once they're home and they're in a space where they can live stable and, safe and everything, the majority of people never come back.
Right.
And then we've ended their homelessness, and so really as the community supports, I hope everyone who's listening knows you make a difference.
Yeah.
This is huge because of your support, people are able to access resources and programs that end their homelessness.
Yeah. So I was telling you that I've been doing this for 20 years, 21. I think this is my 21st year. And so even, downtown here, you see a lot of impactful things. You meet a lot of people and their stories are very impactful. But seeing the buses come and pick up the kids for school or come drop them off after school, I mean, it just really lands. And you're like, oh, man, we got to help these kids.
So true.
We got to make it happen.
Well, and family homelessness is something that we are really focusing on ending right now because we have seen a huge increase in family homelessness specifically since COVID, right? I think there's that ripple effect of how COVID has impacted everyone, and right now it's impacting families, especially with the high housing costs and inflation. And so I want to say it was a little over 70% of the families that we served last year, it was their first time experiencing homelessness, and kids are resilient. They're so wonderful, but you never want a child to have to spend the holidays in a shelter, but I think again that's where the support just means the world to us because we want to help these families move out as quickly as possible, so they don't have to be in shelter.
I mention this a lot because unfortunately in the charity world there's a lot of, let's call it noise, just so we're not really mean. And I think most people like me want to impact directly, want to help people and be efficient in doing that. And it's another reason I love you guys, because all of this is going directly to supporting folks that just need help on the road home.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's the cool one way to think about it is too, because we have the matching donations all day today, right?
Yep.
If your donation is doubled, if you donate $16, so under $20, that turns into $32. That provides one night of shelter for one person. You've changed a life with that small amount, right? And in the hours that we're tripling it, it's $11, and you've been able to really change a life, you know? And I think that's the thing that I wish the community could see is the impact that all of the programs have on the people we serve. Seeing someone's face when they say, I get to move into housing, or seeing a child when they get an item that they were really hoping for, whether it's, you know, new clothes even, so that they look like everyone else at school, you know, they feel like they can fit in. It makes a huge difference in their lives. And so I think sometimes we run into that idea of, well, I can only do a little bit, you know, it's not going to make a difference. Like you were saying, it doesn't feel tangible, but it really does. And luckily our team is able to see that every day, and it impacts our team, right? They are here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, helping people, and seeing the support from the community boost them up as well to say, okay, we've got the community behind us. We can do this.
Speaking of your team, you've got it set up so easily to donate items and people here to help with that, and it's not a long process. But give us a couple of items that are really important. So for listeners who are out there thinking, okay, I'll make a couple notes, swing by the store, grab something out of the closet or whatever it is and come down, what are a couple of the highlight items we need to get?
Absolutely. Socks, underwear are both huge items that we need always. Blankets, and anything that's going to help people stay warm. Because even though we're having a fairly mild winter so far, it's going to get cold. It's going to come, you know, and I'm freezing all the time.
It's still cold.
But that's the thing, is like anything like that are kind of the big priorities right now.
Okay.
We can also always use hygiene items, and towels are also really
key.
Helpful. They're
all
key.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the number to call, 801-819-7300, theroadhome.org/donate, or if you want to donate items, come in person. We'd love to see you. 529 9th Avenue, which is basically 7300 South here in Midvale. It's close. It's off the freeway. It's got its very own stoplight. It is very easy to get here.
Yes, and we would love to see you. And yes, please come down if you want to drop off your items and head out, or park and come on in and say hi. We would love to thank you in person.
We have snacks.
We have lots of snacks.
We have snacks.
We have really great snacks.
I know. They are great snacks.
We have some very generous bakeries and stuff that have donated really great snacks. So Buttered Bake Shop, Gourmandies have both just taking care of us, and Fillings and Emulsions. So, I mean, come on down, have a snack. And
we're living the dream.
Hi.
I love it. Well, Alicia, thank you again for having us. Thank you for all the great work you do. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here, and thank you to everyone who's listening for your incredible support.
All right, we'll have more coming up next. That number again, 801-819-7300, theroadhome.org/donate. We're going to talk to Steve Bartle coming up next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Covering the Utes better than anyone else. This is Ute Insider Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thank you for making us a part of your holiday season. Want to remind you about Win Ticket Wednesday. Don't miss your chance to win big every week on the KSL Sports Zone. Listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day on Wednesday for your chance to win big tickets on Win Ticket Wednesday. We are live at the Road Home, 801-819-7300. That's the number you've got to call. Donate. Tell them you're donating for the Zone, because we're very competitive. We are competing against the other great radio stations down here helping out. So 801-819-7300. You can go to theroadhome.org/donate, theroadhome.org/donate. Or if you want to come donate items, they would gladly take them. We talked to Alicia in the last segment. Blankets, coats, stuff to stay warm, socks, underwear, 529 9th Avenue, which is basically 7300 South, right here in Midvale. Joining the show now, he covers the Utes for KSLSports.com. And I think he's unaware of the commitment that new employees have to donate at least, $2,500 to the Road Home. He is Steve Bartle. Steve, are you aware of this policy?
I am not. I'm going to have to talk to Nate about an advance on my salary. So I'll get on the phone with him after this.
In all seriousness, though, Steve, you have a young family. You know those feelings, and we're here at the family shelter, and to see kids and families that are just struggling with homelessness is just it's brutal. So again, 801-819-7300 to help out. Steve, you've been dropping Bartle bombs already this morning. What's the latest?
Yeah, it's been an eventful Friday morning. It's been a fun one. Utah started out the day by adding a couple running backs, and there's still a couple more guys out there for Utah to potentially add to the class as well. But this morning it was announced New Mexico running back Naquiri Rogers has committed, and not only committed, but he's already signed with Utah. And with Rogers, it was interesting because he served as backup to Eli Sanders at running back, but he's a back that has good size, good athleticism, was productive at New Mexico, and so that was announced early this morning, and that's a nice addition to the running back room. But Rogers was never viewed as kind of the guy, the top target at the position, and just about an hour ago, their top target, Wayshawn Parker, also announced his commitment to Utah. So Utah coming up big today already, and coming up really big at running back by landing, a solid piece in Rogers. But then their top target, outside of Devin Dampier, Parker was their top target, arguably regardless of position. This transfer portal cycle, coming off a freshman campaign at Washington State, where he ran for almost 750 yards, thereabouts, 4 touchdowns. Good size, good athleticism. He's an ideal fit in this sort of offense. So he's been viewed as the top target for Utah. And so Mark Atuaya, also dropping his Freestyle Friday mixtape, his first one at Utah. He came up pretty big today for Utah on the recruiting trail as well. So pretty eventful, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. There's still, like I said, a couple options on the table for Utah moving forward.
So I want to ask you kind of a broad question, Steve, but I want to tell a funny story, and I actually alluded to it the other day, but we had our KSL Sports Christmas get-together. I mean, some might call it a party, although it was not exactly raucous. We had some great food, and we shot the breeze, and we were hanging out. We were in the conference room, and you're basically chatting along with the rest of us. And after it was over, and I get up and I check my phone real quick, and lo and behold, Steve's like breaking news while he's just sitting there at the table, like, oh yeah, like everybody, I got my holiday shopping done. Oh yeah, bip, 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 just breaking transfer news, which is hilarious and honestly a great compliment to you. You're good at what you do, but you have to break news during the holidays. There used to be, dry periods. There used to be, periods where there wasn't recruiting or there wasn't transfers or, and now it's just the Wild West. And I want to know, is it sustainable? Not from a Steve Bartle blood pressure standpoint because you're constantly under the gun, but is this sport sustainable like it is right now?
Well, first, I appreciate that, Jake. And, yeah, the grind, it rarely stops, especially in December. December is just an absolutely insane month in college football. And, if you're talking about my blood pressure, pales in comparison to the coaches and the players and now the general managers and player personnel guys that are in the thick of this. I was talking with somebody that has a pretty good grasp of personnel up at Utah, and he's talking about, he's telling me about how, he's constantly, taking phone calls, and there's that fear of what this phone call is going to be. And, that's not just at Utah, that's across the country, right? I've had a couple conversations with guys, and, it was interesting. This was last year, but he told me 80% of his time was taken up by their own guys, recruiting their own guys, phone calls of guys getting a new offer from a different program and having to renegotiate. And you think of everything else that goes on in the month of December, the early signing period, the transfer portal opening up. If you're practicing for a bowl game, you've got bowl game prep. And so the month of December is just absolute chaos. And you've already kind of seen, some adjustments, some tweaks to the calendar. It's far from where it needs to be. They've moved the early signing period that used to be in the middle of the month. It coincided with the transfer portal opening. It was almost like the same day that you would get the early signing period and the transfer portal opening up, and it was just chaos. But now they've moved the early signing period to the beginning of the month. They've moved the transfer portal window opening up, I think, a week after, 2 weeks after. But I don't think that's enough, and I think you're going to continue to see adjustments and tweaks to the calendar where you get, the early signing period moved up even further into the calendar, into November and into October. So it's not even a worry come December. And then you still have the February signing period as well. And so I think that's an adjustment. But now, too, what you're seeing is the transfer portal impacting, teams that are preparing for bowl games. I'm blanking on the program that had to bail on their bowl game, but they had to because they've basically been gutted from transfer portal departures, coaches leaving, and I think, and then there's the hot topic this week has been the Penn State quarterback that entered the portal, but he can't. So now he can't play in the playoff game, where he's played a big role for Penn State as kind of a change of pace, dual threat quarterback for him. Now he can't play because he's in the portal, and I think you're seeing more and more issues arise with just the timing of it. And I think ultimately, I've talked about this, on other radio stations in years past, but I think this is obviously with money involved. It's already kind of a semi-professional, organization, if we want to call it that. The NCAA is far from organized, but we are going to get to a point where I think it a lot of things, there's going to be more changes where you get just more clarity, more space in between these big events and big things that these programs are involved with. I just think it needs to be a little bit cleaner. And I think ultimately we will get to a point where, you have free agents, essentially a quasi free agent period with the transfer portal. You have your early signing period where it's spaced out properly, where it doesn't interfere with the season, because now the season with the playoff structured as it is going to extend into the month of January. And that's just, that's a big headache for programs. So I think there's a lot that needs to be tweaked, to be adjusted, to better space out these things that coaches have to deal with. I absolutely think we're going to see more and more of that over the next few years.
As they say, Steve, the transfer portal giveth and the transfer portal taketh. For the Utes, would you say it is giveth more than it is taketh?
I would say that. And, it's been, Utah's lost, I think, 13, 14 players to the portal. So you don't love that number. You would love to hang on to as many guys as you can, but just the nature of the game, that there's going to be a handful of guys. Actually, that number's 20, so a much bigger number than I thought. But, outside of, a guy like Cam Calhoun and Carson Ryan, I think for the most part, Utah's come out pretty good with the departures. A lot of them expected. A lot of them, Utah probably said, hey, you probably need to hit the portal because, things are going to be changing here. And so I think with what they've lost, they have lost some good pieces, but they've brought in, some really good pieces as well. At receiver, Joseph Williams was the freshman of the year in the AAC, almost 600 yards to his name last season. And, he's going to come in and play a big role. Devin Dampier, obviously getting him, the guy to start it all. To get him was so big for Utah and Jason Beck, just given the familiarity with the offense. And he's going to be able to, to hit the ground running at Utah, and he's also played a big role in their transfer portal recruiting as well, which is always beneficial. You want a guy that has that charisma, that personality that just players resonate with, and he's played a big role in recruiting others to Utah to join him here. And then at running back, man, I think they've knocked it out of the park at running back and secondary. They've done a really good job of loading up with, obviously a premier talent in Wayshawn Parker, but good depth in Naquiri Rogers and Mike Washington Jr. So you feel really good about what they've done at running back. And given what we saw this past season, where it was basically Mekhi Bernard and Charlie Vincent, to now have, depth and options, I think, that's going to be important for Jason Beck and his offense, because he does like to use, a handful of backs, at various points throughout the season. So, in the secondary, again, they've loaded up. They've added 3. Obviously, the departure of Cam Calhoun, that's a tough one, but I think they've done really well to address the needs there. Donovan Saunders, in particular, was a guy that they recruited. He was in the portal last year. He ended up at Texas A&M, but he was a top priority for Utah last year. He came in for a visit, and he was either at or near the top of the board for Utah in their transfer portal recruiting at cornerback last year. So to get him now this year, they feel pretty good about that one. So, overall, they've done really well. Added a nice piece at offensive tackle in Kalolo Ta'aga, who was a guy that they were recruiting out of high school last year. Couple nice pieces at receiver, and they are not done. I think that's the key here, is they still have a few things that they would like to add to the roster. They probably want another wide receiver, maybe even 2. They probably want another quarterback, maybe even another offensive lineman or defensive lineman. So there's still, plenty of work to be done. But I think to this point, you really have to be encouraged by what the staff has done in bringing in the guys that they have.
Give me realistic expectations for the Utah basketball team and league.
It's going to be tough. First impression of this team is this team, has talent. There's potential here. But as we've watched them, throughout the season, it's just the team. There's moments where they look really, really good, really, really dominant. But then there's just moments where they don't have that, where they look like that, like a Big 12 team that just, the Big 12, it's the best conference in the league, right? There's just a certain sort of confidence and that comes with playing with that, and that's been missed. It's been absent here and there, in a few of these games, especially against some of these, tougher opponents. And it's not that you put on the Big 12 logo and suddenly you're a better basketball player, but I was hoping to see more progress to this point of the season. They're still playing good ball, but there's a lot that they need to clean up. Just little things. They're just trying to do too much, I think, right now, and creating highlight plays and that sort of stuff. But they are playing good basketball. They're playing tough defensively. I think that's the key for Craig, is if he can keep this team bought in on the defensive end of the floor, that's going to be their ticket to staying competitive in this league. I've always considered them, before the season, I thought that they were more of a 10, 11, 12 type team in the Big 12, not 16, not pegged last like they were. But, as we've gotten a closer look at Utah and at some of these teams, other teams, at the bottom of the league, Colorado, Arizona State, West Virginia, those are teams that have gotten good quality wins, and Utah hasn't had that yet. They don't have that quality win yet. And so Utah has a big opportunity this weekend, in Sioux Falls against Iowa, the Hawkeyes, a team that they beat last year in the NIT. And they've gone through some changes as well, but it's still a competitive game. This is really kind of the last opportunity for Utah before they get into conference play to add a nice quality win and kind of just, establish themselves and where they're at within the conference, as we kick off conference play in a couple weeks.
Well, Steve, we appreciate you. Happy holidays. Hopefully you've got all that shopping buttoned up, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good, Jake. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, appreciate you. Great work as always, Steve. Steve Bartle, breaking all the Utes news that's out there, KSLSports.com, and he's kind enough to join us on Fridays, and we really appreciate it when he has a chance to do so. All right, joining us now, we are at the road home. We're excited to be here, 801-819-7300. You can go to theroadhome.org/donate. Make sure you're telling them you're donating for the Zone, because we're very competitive. Joining the show now, Eli McCann with us on Jake and Ben. What's going on? How are you?
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Excited to talk with you.
So tell us a little bit about what you're doing down here to help out.
Well, so I'm a member of the Board of Trustees for the Road Home and have been for a few years. And so every year I get really involved in Mediathon and come down and help talk about what we're trying to accomplish at the Road Home, not just during the holidays, but all year long.
It's so important. I was talking to Alicia about this. I mean, I wish folks could just see when the buses come and the kids get on the bus and get off the bus, and it's just like, okay, this is the ground level where people really need help, and every little bit really does go a long way.
Yeah, it does. We had almost 200 children staying in shelter last night, and that's pretty common. Night after night, we're housing about 200 children, and then men and women, families, people with all sorts of circumstances, all sorts of backgrounds. And we're not just trying to shelter them. We want to give them a safe space to sleep for the night, but we're also trying to rehabilitate them and get them on their feet so that they can become self-sufficient.
And I feel like saying this to a member of the Board of Trustees, I'm really just, like kissing up for some other people. But, like, the people here are wonderful. I love doing this event so much because everything goes to help people. You know, the charity world is a really crowded space, and you guys are amazing, and you turn everything that our wonderful listeners donate right to impact the people at the ground level.
I've been just incredibly impressed with our leadership and our staff. They are highly efficient people. They stretch every penny that comes in to unbelievable degrees. I wish that people could see more of the miracles that they're working with the donations that come in. It truly is an organization that, without hesitation, I am so happy to be a part of and support.
Hearts out to here. I mean, just really, really great people who do great work. And again, the number 801-819-7300 or theroadhome.org/donate. Are you a sports guy?
No, I'm not. I'm so sorry. I can pretend to be if you want to.
No hot takes on the Jazz? No.
You know what? I was a huge Jazz kid in the 90s.
Okay.
So it's Stockton and Malone, that was my era, and then I kind of fell off after that. So if you want to talk 90s Jazz, I'm all in.
Okay, better logo, the original note or the original Mountain when Larry brought it in?
Look, I loved the Mountain when it happened, but looking back, the note was better.
I'm on Team Note as well, so there you go.
Yeah, vintage.
Well, hey, thanks for all you do. Thanks for jumping on the show. We really appreciate it. Thanks for having us out.
Thank you.
All right, give them a call, 801-819-7300 or theroadhome.org/donate. More next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
Defenseman Michael Kesselring, you're second in goals, assists, and points among all Utah defensemen right now. You're on pace to have record highs in all those categories. What is it about your development in your game right now that's allowing you to have this kind of success?
Obviously, I got a big opportunity this year with some unfortunate injuries with Johnny and Sean being out. And I've just tried to step up as much as I can. And honestly, I think it's opportunity. And, I've always been confident in my game and myself. And I think playing for the U.S. team this summer, too, gave me a lot of confidence. So just building on that and trying to keep getting better every day.
Catch Hans and Scotty weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. With complete coverage of the Utah Hockey Club, this is Cole Bagley of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake, Scott, Ben, Anderson. No Ben today, off for the holidays. We are live at the Road Home. It's the annual Mediathon. It is one of the most important days every year here on this station. And our listeners are always so fantastic and so generous and help so many people. 801-819-7300 is the number to call in. Donate. You can also go online, theroadhome.org/donate, theroadhome.org/donate, and help us help people get in out of the cold. 801-819-7300. It's time to talk some Utah Hockey Club. Let's get out of the zone phone. He covers the Utah Hockey Club. for KSLSports.com. He's nice enough to join us on Fridays. He is Cole Bagley. What's going on, Cole?
Not much. How are you?
Doing just great. Fun to be down here raising money for the road home during the holidays, for sure. Doing a little good. But let's talk about what the Utah Hockey Club has in store tonight at Minnesota. The puck drops at 6 o'clock. Of course, Cole, this is a team we saw just a week ago. And kind of a weird game considering Minnesota's so good at defense. They scored a bunch of goals that night. So what do you think we're in store for tonight?
Yeah, tonight's a big game. Utah has been playing incredibly well as of late. They've won 7 of their last 10. They've won 3 in a row. They're ascending in the standings very quickly. They're just 3 points out of the wild card spot, and I think just a few, maybe 4 or 5 points out of third place in the division. So they've made up a lot of ground as of late. Played the Wild just a week ago. It was a good game that went to overtime. I think these are currently 2 of the best teams in the NHL as of right now. And so, I would anticipate another closely contested matchup. We talked with Coach Torney after the game about this upcoming matchup. And, he said that the mindset of the team right now is that they expect to win hockey games, and they're going into every game like that. And so that's why we're seeing the results that we are is, their confidence is high, and I would anticipate a close game, and it could go either way. But I wouldn't be shocked to see Utah extend that winning streak to 4.
You mentioned the confidence being high. Is that sustainable?
Yeah, I think so. The NHL is often a season of ups and downs, peaks and valleys, and right now, it's a significant peak. Like I said, I think Utah is one of the best teams in the National Hockey League right now. That doesn't mean, longevity will continue through the next, 50 games. But, their confidence is really high. It starts in the net with Vejmelka. He's playing out of his mind. His save percentage is trending towards 92% right now. He's one of the top 5 goalies in the league. And, that is spreading throughout the entire team. Everybody's playing that way. The offense is playing confident. The defense is playing confident. And so as of right now, yes, I think it's sustainable. It kind of feels like they've turned a corner. It feels like they've discovered their identity. And so, yes, right now, that confidence is definitely sustainable. And hopefully they can continue to ride out this peak for as long as possible to pick up, really big points through December and into January.
So that begs the question, if they do make some sort of playoff push, they're 7-1-2 in their last 10. I imagine that's not, that's a pretty steep clip. But how many games do they need to win to really make that push? What kind of clip do they have to be at going forward?
Yeah, I mean, generally, if you can win between 40 to 45 games, you put yourself in a really good spot to make the playoffs. So, over the next 50, if they can win about 25 to 30 of those, they're going to be right in the mix. If you are winning 40 to 50, you've generally cemented yourself as a for sure playoff team. And so right now they're sitting at 15 wins. There's about 50 games left. So, yeah, if they can kind of win about 60% of those and pick up 25 to 30 through the rest of the season, they're going to be right in that mix, especially in a competitive division like the Central and such a competitive, Western Conference. I mean, you look at all the teams right now, and they're really not that far behind most of the pack. I mean, the 3rd and 4th place teams right now have 38 points, while Utah has 35. So they're just 3 points behind there. And you look at the Pacific as well. A lot of the teams are, 37, 38, 40 points. So it's going to be competitive. But if they can win, about 60% of the rest of their games, they're going to be in a good spot.
We've talked to you before, I have anyway, about how really blown away I was about the response, the open, when the team first came and the response at Delta Center, and I've been inside those games and how electric it's been. And I saw Ryan Smith the other day threw out a tweet where he wanted to get people who had never been down to get their first experience, and I thought that was cool, that the response he got. So my question to you is about the buzz, the momentum. Do you think that has been continued from the splashy start?
Yes. It feels like the most popular team in Salt Lake City right now is the Utah Hockey Club. And obviously, the bar for the Jazz is not very high. They're doing their thing, trying to tank to get, some good draft picks and rebuild. So, but for a city that has been mostly unfamiliar with hockey, with the National Hockey League, to embrace the team the way that they have has been amazing. I talked to a couple players this week. I talked to Logan Cooley. I talked to Clayton Keller, and Cooley told me that this is the most fun he's had in a long time playing hockey. And a lot of it is because of the response from the community, the acceptance of the community. They can just focus on their game, and they haven't been able to really do that for the last couple years in Arizona. And, Keller said that, the atmosphere the other night is exactly what you grow up dreaming of. Playing, with your best friends in front of, hundreds of thousands of people, and those types of moments where you score a big goal and you get that response from the crowd. I think it's just continuing to grow. A couple of other things, that really stand out is every single night at a Utah Hockey Club game, the team store is completely swamped. And, bad nights for the hockey club are some of the best nights that they've ever had in terms of sales for the Utah Jazz. And so people are loving the merch. They want to wear it. They want to, show off their colors. And the other thing is, just the electricity that was in that building the other night. They interviewed Sergachev right after he scored the game winner, and during that interview in front of a packed Delta Center, he said that he could hear the Utah chants. The team could hear the Utah chants, and that gave them energy in the overtime period to get the win. So it's coming along, and it is turning into just an incredible environment where you can just really feel this community embracing the team.
Well, Cole, thank you for jumping on with us. We appreciate it. We look forward to it every week. Merry Christmas and a happy holidays to you and to yours. Keep up the good work.
Hey, appreciate it. Same to you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Cole. That's our buddy Cole Bagley, covers the Utah Hockey Club for KSLSports.com, and we appreciate it that he has a chance to jump on with us on Fridays at this time as well. We are live from the road home. You can give them a call and donate. It's the annual Mediathon, 801-819-7300, 801-819-7300. You can donate. Tell them you're donating on behalf of the Zone, because we are very competitive, and of course we compete against the other radio stations here. You can also go online, theroadhome.org/donate. That's theroadhome.org/donate, and help take families and give them shelter as it's cold out there. We talked to Eli in the last segment when he talked about the families. 80 families were in the shelter last night, including 177 kids. So if you're looking for a way to give back, to help others this holiday season, there's no better way to do it. Call and donate, 801-819-7300 or theroadhome.org/donate. We'll wrap up the show, get you ready for Hanson, Scotty G. Coming up next, it's Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
College football, where it was with geographical conferences, was better. I hate an 18-team Big Ten that features Oregon and Washington playing on the Big Ten network. That makes no damn sense.
Oh, of course.
None.
No.
So what are we doing here? And then you got the situation where Indiana doesn't have a good win on their schedule, but they make the college football playoff because they don't play everybody in their conference. How can you be the champion of a conference if you only played half the teams in your conference?
Right.
What are we doing? I don't like it, but you embrace what it is. You embrace the chaos. It's entertaining one way or the other, but I'd prefer it to be the way it was as opposed to where it is right now in 2024.
The athletic director for Alabama said, well, now you forced us into reconsidering what we're going to do with our non-conference schedule.
Everybody from Alabama, just take a seat, man.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Niggas on the airways, talking sports. They got it made, Jake's and also.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, no Ben today. But we're live from the road home. Call in, donate, 801-819-7300, or go to theroadhome.org/donate. Make sure you mention you're on Team Zone. We're very competitive, raising money for a tremendous cause, and it's been great to be a part of it once again this year. This segment is brought to you by Peach Doors and Windows. Amazing home transformations begin with Peach, where 5-star reviews are the norm. Call them today for your free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255. Peach Doors and Windows. Want to say a big thanks to Cole Bagley for jumping on with us in the last segment. His appearances on the show, as always, are brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. And for some reason, I just could not find that liner last segment. Christian, it's because I'm a scatterbrain, and Christian is begging me for an answer in the break. What can I do? What can I do to get you to read these liners? My answer to you is, Christian, I don't know. I'm trying.
It's that time of the year, man.
I'm trying to be a better person and to read the liners that I'm supposed to read. But 801-819-7300, theroadhome.org/donate. One quick thought before we get out of here, and we're going to be off most of the next week for the holidays. But Christian, the watchability of the NBA or whatever has been an issue. People are talking about the ratings and why this and why that. J.J. Redick talked about it, how it's not because they're shooting too many threes. Can I make an argument? And by the way, I don't even buy in 100% that interest in the NBA is all that down, because measuring it these days is an imperfect science. But can I tell you, Christian, I'm interested if you agree. If there is a reason that they're down, I would blame the end of last night's Jazz game. Like, not specifically, but as an example. It was ridiculous. It was so clunky and full of fouls and replays and commercials. Christian, you realize that the fourth quarter of last night's Jazz-Pistons game was 50 minutes long. 5-0. 50 minutes.
Hey, I think you're preaching to the choir here. I think this is like exactly what people are talking about.
It makes it unwatchable. Like, I don't know how, if you were a casual basketball fan watching that game last night, how you didn't just flip out of there because of, just unnecessary timeouts, to unnecessary reviews, to the most ticky-tack calls you've ever seen in your life that were basically make-up calls for a bad review. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. That could have been an interesting finish.
Well, it's hard when,
game.
You've got the Jazz who had been playing with so much fire all night, and it had been getting chippy on both sides. And then, it seems like all that momentum just gets stopped with all the replays, all the stoppages, and it just completely halts the product.
Listen, the league, the refs, everything need to just get out of the way. Just get out of the way and let them play basketball. People's thirst for justice when it comes to calls is just so overblown. It's fine. They got it wrong. Move on with your life. I was talking to Eric Spyropoulos, who writes for UtahJazz.com. He was filling in for Coach Lacombe yesterday, and I told him my I don't want replay anymore hot take. And he was just beside himself. And I said, justify it to me. They get it wrong half the time anyway. It's a roaring waste of everybody's time. It's more of a source of frustration, if anything. And what happens if they get the call right? Life goes on anyway. It's so frustrating to me. But that is my last, negative thought before the holidays right there.
Got to get it all out. Yeah.
You want to examine why maybe some interest is down. Figure out how to improve the product by getting all that crap out of the way. Let them play. We're all here to see them play basketball. Let's let them play basketball. All right, there you go. We are live at the road home, 801-819-7300, 801-819-7300. Joining us now, she is the Director of Marketing, if I'm not mistaken, Rachel Felton, with us here on Jake and Ben. Rachel, it's great to see you. Thank you for including our station in this great event.
Are you kidding? Thank you for being here. We literally could not do it without you.
It's the most important day on the station of the year.
Stop.
And it really is, as far as it makes me feel good to help, because you guys, impact families directly today. I mean, when they need it the most. It is such an incredible cause.
Yeah, it's so fun, of course, being on site too at the family facility. I think it just makes it all that much more real. And just, yesterday we had Santa here, and we had the kids come in that are staying at the facility to come see Santa, and just like the big hugs, and it just is. It's one of my favorite days of the year.
Oh, when Santa, I've seen Santa's show, and Santa's a big deal.
Yeah,
let's just say he's
turns
a big
me into
deal.
a puddle.
No, but it's amazing, and you guys do this all year, and we come on the holidays, and people feel like giving on the holidays, but you guys are boots on the ground making it happen 365.
Yeah, one thing I kind of like to always mention to folks who are maybe just learning about us or just, tuning in is we have so much going on the rest of the year as well. So if anyone does ever want to donate items or come in and volunteer, we have a lot of ways to get involved again throughout the year, besides just this amazing season of giving.
Oh, and you guys make that so easy too. I've come in during the year to donate, different items or whatever, and it takes, 2
We're happy
minutes.
to hear that.
Yeah. You guys
we appreciate that.
Make it happen and make it so easy. And people can bring goods. In fact, give us maybe a few goods that we can emphasize and get the word out there to the listeners to come down.
Yeah, so one thing we're always in need of is new underwear. That is across the board for adults and children, all genders, of course. But then if you're looking, to just kind of go through your closet, any gently used winter clothing items, men's shoes. I mean, we will take anything that's in good condition,
right.
But you just kind of think of, I don't have kids yet, but I like to think of, okay, if you're getting your kid ready for recess or something, like those essential items, that's kind of something I like to think about.
Oh, that's
that you can come in and
absolutely
donate.
No, that's brilliant. Think about what you need to get your own kids to be ready
or
to
yourself.
Go. Yeah, or yourself for that matter.
Doesn't have to be a kid.
Oh no, that's a great way to think about it. So you can do that, and if you want to donate in person, 529 9th Avenue, which is basically 7300 South here in Midvale. It's easy. It's got its own stoplight. It's right off I-15.
Exactly.
Super simple. Or if you just want to donate, really every little bit goes a long way. 801-819-7300 or theroadhome.org/donate. Rachel, we can't thank you enough for jumping on the show, and thank you for all you do. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we will turn things over to Hans and Scotty. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everybody. Thanks for listening. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.